Welcome to this short video on polishing wine glasses. I've got a standard wine glass here, generic, non-labeled, but it'll do perfectly for this demonstration. I've got some hot water which we're going to put a little bit into the glass to emulate a glass that may have just come out of a glass washer. It's very important to polish glasses when they're warm. They become more difficult to polish if they're cold, if they've been left in the machine. So what you want to start with is good, warm, clean glasses that have just come out of the glass washer. This is a standard bar towel, similar to a tea towel. I would not recommend this. I'm just showing you this to say that this to me would not be a preferable polishing cloth. If you must use, okay, your polishing cloths need to be very clean, free from odors, dirt, and any kind of grease. But again, for me, this is really a no-no because the fibers are too thick. It leaves hairs on the glass, and also it's quite difficult to actually get inside a glass and polish with. A good starched clean linen napkin, if it's no longer in use in the restaurant, is good. They tend not to leave a lot of fibers and they have good absorbency. And because they're quite thin, it's possible to get them inside the glasses. However, they may not be available, they're expensive, and I suppose they can only be used really if they're no longer being used for table service. But they are a good alternative if you don't have one of these, which is a microfiber polishing cloth. So they're designed specifically for polishing glassware. They're very light, they're very thin, and the fibers are extremely small, and therefore they tend to leave very little trace of fiber on the glass, on the dried glass. They're also quite absorbent as well, which is really good. They do tend to get a little bit wet after sort of 10 polishes perhaps, or 8 or 10 glasses, and therefore you will need to sort of hang one up and dry it, but they dry quite quickly. When I'm polishing, I like to always take note of the longest part of the rectangular shaped cloth is from here to here. And if we actually use a glass like this, if we use a cloth like this, we have the most maneuverability. We've got the ability to move all around, etc., as opposed to if we pick a cloth up like this and polish or if we have our cloth folded over, etc., we have a lot less space. So always use the cloth to your advantage from the widest points. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of warm water here, just to heat up our glass. Give it a little dip as well, just so the exterior is slightly wet, and also I'll put the base in, so just to give us the kind of idea that perhaps our glass has just come out of a glass washer. Okay, remember, warm glasses that come out of a machine are going to be more fragile, and therefore we need to take care. When we're picking up glassware to polish it, we should never touch the exterior, we should never put our fingers inside, we shouldn't be touching the bowl or the base. The only part of a glass that we really should touch is the stem, and it is also possible to avoid touching the stem if we're actually good at using our service cloth, our polishing cloth. So we can pick up a glass like so, move it around in our hands like this, polish it from start to finish, and actually put it back up on the shelf without ever touching the glass itself. It's okay, once polished, if you pinch the stem and put it up on the shelf and take it down again by the stem when it's been put out on the tables for service, but at no point should we ever be touching the cleaned bowl or the cleaned base. I usually like to just clean the base, or dry the base as it were, first, and the stem, and I'm able to move the glass around freely, as you can see, because I'm using the full length of the cloth like that, so it's quite easy. What we don't want to do is something we see very often in industry, is basically what people very often do for speed, and they're going to do what I do right now, holding the glass like this, stuffing a cloth inside it and making this fast spinning motion. Yes, it's efficient, but it's dangerous. It's very easy to snap the stem and injure yourself badly. Not only are you breaking glassware, but you could very, very seriously injure yourself. I've seen it happening. Okay, and of course you're adding thumbprints to the base of the glass that then need to be repolished off. So I just wouldn't recommend it. It is the easiest thing to do, but it's a bad habit to get into from the beginning. So what we want again is to avoid our glasses being touched by hands, and by polishing the outside first, giving it a quick rub without actually putting a lot of pressure on the glass, because remember it's probably hot after coming out of the machine. We can stuff the glass with the cloth, like so, and get our fingers in there and give a gentle polish, and at the same time as it's been dried on the inside, it's also been polished on the outside, because I'm holding it with the cloth. There's no need to try to bend or labor this or sort of push against the rim of the glass. Again, fragile glassware, especially a glass like a Zalto or some of the Riedel range, will break extremely easily. So my fingers are not touching the inside of the glass there at any point. It's just that I'm gently rotating the glass bowl. The cloth is pushed down to the end, the interior, and it's gently cleaning the inside. Stem is already cleaned. Again, I'm doing this quite slowly just for demonstration purposes. And we have a glass that's properly polished, has no fiber stuck to it, there's no lip gloss, there are no water stains, there's no food stuck to it, it's not chipped, it's not cracked. Remember, if a glass or a piece of cutlery or anything that we're using during service, if it isn't good enough for us, it's most certainly not good enough for the customer. So what the customer expects and what we need to keep up in industry is perfectly clean, sparkling, polished, odorless glasses that are not covered in hair, not covered in dust, and certainly don't have any thumbprints or finger marks or anything on there that shouldn't be there. So just to reiterate, microfiber polishing cloths for me are the best. After that, a good dry linen napkin. We're only ever picking up the glass by the stem. We're not touching the base or the bowl. We're not making that spinning motion I referred to earlier. And we're usually using the length of the cloth so that we have the good maneuverability to be able to polish the glass correctly and safely. With experience, with time, with practice, one can do this quite quickly and get through a tray of glasses in no time at all. But yes, in the beginning, it does take time. So practice makes perfect, and enjoy polishing.